And if you're joining us now, we're just getting our second conversation for this morning started, and we are talking about the Chiquibul forest. And we, of course, are going to be talking all about the Friends for Conservation and Development's Chiquibul Symposium. And the theme for this year is Restoring a National Patrimony. Joining us for this conversation, we have Rafael Manzanero, who is the Executive Director of F.C.D. And we also have Derek Chan, who is a Chiquibul National Park Manager. Good morning.
Good morning, Gavin. Good morning, Marlene. Good morning, Belize.
Yes. And thank you so much for joining us this morning. This is, of course, a pretty important topic. But before we get into the Chiquibul, why don't we talk a little bit about this type of symposium and what why it's being held, or why they have been held, and what you hope to accomplish at them.
Yes, certainly. Well, the first one occurred in 2013. And at the time, the main aim or objective of that session was really to bring out about higher consciousness and awareness about the status, about the Chiquibul National Park, the Chiquibul Forest at large. At the time in 2013, people had heard about the Chiquibul because of our issues occurring there in terms of incursions and other particular threats and challenges. But the symposium was the one that really brought really much more in a condensed and summarized fashion the true state of affairs in the Chiquibul. And so that was really the entry point in terms of having a more higher level of awareness about the status of that area.
Now, when you look at what's happening, I mean, over the years, Raphael and Derek, you have been very consistent in bringing information to the public, where most of us don't get the opportunity to go to the Chiquibul. We at least knew what was going on. How much has all this education and awareness helped in being able to alleviate the challenges that you have there?
Well, the public awareness is really important. The Chiquibul up until today is still highly inaccessible. If you go to Caracol, you are within the Chiquibul forest, but that is really the northernmost tip of the Chiquibul forest. So largely, the entire block of the Chiquibul is relatively unknown. So certainly a lot of the Belizeans, a lot of even international visitors will probably not have a good idea about what really is the true essence of the Chiquibul. So public awareness is really important. You will also gather that really to bring out also the threats and the challenges is also really difficult because people might not be able really to see it firsthand. And so the public awareness is really important, either through the use of the media like your channel, and then of course reaching out to the schools, through our public outreach and environmental educational campaigns. The educational campaigns have always been there every year with different topics, with different themes, either through the beauty of the Chiquibul, really to showcase what we have there, the challenges, and also about the watershed, which really has been one of the primary areas that we have tried to concentrate on over the last few years. Even reaching way down to Belize City with our educator and visiting the primary schools, just to educate the people about the true importance, the environmental goods and services that the Chiquibul has. And so, yes, education is really important. And I've gathered also that, even though we have been doing this over the last 12 years, there are still people who don't really still understand, for example, where the Chiquibul is. People might still feel, well, Chiquibul is in the Toledo district. Well, not really. It is in the Cayo district. And so we still have much more work to do. But that is really the true, essence of public outreach, where it has to be constant and ongoing.
And Derek, perhaps you can talk to us a little bit about some of what makes the Chiquibul so unique and such an important part of our national heritage.
Well, as Rafael was speaking,
I'm also listening. You know, when you have a diamond ring, right? So the Chiquibul is the diamond. That's part of the jewel of Belize. So I think, like you were all saying, you know, over the years we've been bringing it out to the public because the threats there are really big, and the Chiquibul is at stake. You know, our watersheds, our forests. So there's only one way to get it out to the people, for them to learn, understand, and help us lobby, because it is for all of us. And then if we all don't know what we have at stake out there, then we won't act, right? And I don't think it's F.C.D alone that can do it. You know, it's been the public, it's been the media, it's been everyone. So yeah, we walk there every day. The Rangers are there every day. The BDF help us, and yeah, it does require all this type of creating its awareness of how important it is.
I mean, man, we look at these images and it's so beautiful to see the Chiquibul National Park. It's just one of the places that a lot of people don't get the chance to experience firsthand. But, you know, as I noted earlier, it's not without its challenges. It's a very large area that F.C.D is tasked to manage. And the border confrontations is usually the issues that we tend to hear about the most, whether it's gold panning or illegal logging or poaching of the beautiful macaws. Are we still seeing these issues ongoing?
Derek? Yes, pretty much. It fluctuates. There are years, you remember last year, we were able to arrest a poacher, or the Rangers were able to arrest a poacher. We've done expeditions across the Maya Divide, and we've seen illegal logging of rosewood. The fires last year was bad, you know, and sometimes, you know, as much as we create awareness and patrols out there, one matchstick, you know, can cause, you know, that tremendous fire that happened last year in the Chiquibul. Mm-hmm. So we do have the threats, you know, there every day. Mm-hmm. And but yeah, we have accomplished a lot. I think if not, we would have been there for the past, you know, 15 years. You know, who knows? It could be, you know, much tragic. Today we have seen a lot of recovery. Even after the fire of last year, you know, we've done another map and we can see the greenery recovering. But we need to be there to prevent another fire. Yeah. So, as a matter of fact, we're training, you know, for firefighting right now. Mm. Mm-hmm.
And in a similar vein, perhaps, Rafael, you can talk a little bit more about the efforts that are being made to combat some of these threats that the Chiquibul is facing currently.
Well, the Joint Forces operations is still, you know, one of the primary interventions that we have in the Chiquibul. Like what, you know, Derek was noting, you know, that is done along with the support of the Belize Defense Force and the police department primarily. With, you know, over the years from the time of 2008 up until, you know, 2 years ago, the construction of conservation posts have been occurring almost every 2 years. So today we can count up to 7 conservation posts in the Chiquibul, in the Chiquibul forest, including the Caracol. And there is a presence then of the security agents, and that's where we also post the park rangers. And so that has been really the first kind of the gateway of control. Of course, we continue working with our Guatemalan counterparts, which is another, you know, strategic, you know, collaboration that we have ongoing since the beginning of our program in the Chiquibul. That has also paid off largely because, you know, today, unlike some 10 years ago, there are a whole set of counterparts and collaborators across in Guatemala that are basically also at the same end, you know, working towards the prevention of further incursions into Belize. Of course, it's still ongoing, but that has also been, more reduced over the years. The European Union, for example, has some funds now ongoing within those communities, along with Asociación Balam, la Mesa Intersectorial de Tierra y Medio Ambiente, la Mancomunidad de los Municipios del Sur de Petén. And so there's a whole platform now of agencies and activities ongoing there. You might have heard that the President Yamate was there along those communities just less than 2 weeks ago, visiting the communities, and basically the promise was for the government really to look at more the socioeconomic and development of those communities there. So all of that really is helping, to reduce the human footprint from Guatemala into Belize.
Yeah. That's always one of the fascinating factors when you look at the work that's ongoing in the Chiquibul. While F.C.D. is a conservation organization, you've also worked very closely with national security forces in doing your patrols, just because of where you're located, and where a lot of the infractions that take place within the Chiquibul are mostly residents from the border communities in Guatemala. One of your greatest allies is also the Conservation Society on the other side of the border as well. How critical is it to maintain that relationship?
It is very critical. In fact, when the tensions were occurring between the two governments after the incident that happened in Chiquibul, if you recall, there was almost no open dialogue officially between the two governments. But from the NGO sector, from F.C.D, Balam, our counterparts with the municipalities of Melchor, of Poptun, of Dolores, all of those really continued on. And I would say, frankly, that the work that now has been galvanized in the Southern Petén is probably much more bigger now in terms of partners and counterparts, more than what we probably have here within the context of Belize. Wow. In other words, there are large and active groups now occurring on that territory. Of course, there's a lot of communities there. And so certainly any inputs from international donors, from the central government of Guatemala, all of those are now really reaching more so into those communities. That certainly helps to alleviate the poverty that has been occurring along that frontier. And so that is helping us a lot. We continue on with our efforts, of course, through agreements that we have with the counterparts in Guatemala, either for the protection of the watershed of the Mopan and the Chiquibul rivers. We also have, in fact, right now, our collaborators in Guatemala are doing the public outreach. In fact, today they are visiting San Jose Las Flores, which is really a key community, along with the agencies of CONAP, Municipality of Melchor de Mencos, and many other people there. Probably about 25 individuals are going down to the village today at San Jose Las Flores, only to talk about the prevention of forest fires, because in that community it was hit that we saw a large amount of the crossfires coming into Belize last year. Oh, wow. And so the binational cooperation is really something that has to be really continued on. It is merited, and it is really, and hopefully one of these days, we'll be able to bring the counterparts in Guatemala to speak also here on the show, really to demonstrate all the activities that are ongoing and the results of those actions out there in Guatemala.
And when you talk of some of the recent issues, I know the last time we were able to have you in studio, what the pressing issue was looking at cattle ranching and the implications there. What's the status of that particular threat?
Well, cattle ranching is still an ongoing matter. As was registered before, it is not only occurring in the Chiquibul frontier, it is also occurring north in Vaca and also south in the Colombia area. But Derek, I'm going to ask Derek to explain a little bit more on that, because he has been also more involved into that.
When as it pertains to the cattle ranching, we last year we addressed some of this problem, and I think that's one that's been a little bit difficult, working, because we work with our counterparts. We want to meet with the owners of the cattle, but it's been a little bit difficult. We always want to meet, and say, look, this is Belize, this is a national park, and remove your cattle. But the people don't come forward, they don't come forward, in terms of to meet with us. So we have been removing the fences and letting the people know. I think we've arrested just one cattle rancher, but other than that, we've been trying to negotiate with them. Look, you need to remove your cattle.
Yeah.
So last year was a successful year in terms of removing a lot of the fences, and mostly in the Chiquibul. But Vaca, like Rafael said, there is probably a lot more cattle in Vaca than there is in Chiquibul. And mainly because there has not been any type of real intervention to come and address, the matter.
Yeah.
In the Columbia River, we kind of been in there once or twice to assist, the groups down there in the south. And it is not as bad either, but if it's not addressed, definitely it takes 2 years, 3 years, and we'll have the same problem. But yeah, in the Chiquibul, we will continue to address it. It's still there. I would say a lot was removed, but it's a constant thing. You have to be punctual. You have to always come back and make sure that people are staying outside of the park.
Yeah, and as we talk about the cattle ranching, I think it's part of what is going to be interesting in the symposium. Because every time you bring one particular threat to light, which was, first we were talking chate, then we were talking illegal logging, and then gold panning, and then cattle ranching and poaching, there's always some new opportunity that people find to take from the Chiquibul, and it means that your threats are ongoing. Tell us the purpose, or what your goal or objective is for the symposium, and what you want the public to be able to learn from tuning in.
So in terms of this symposium that is coming up on the 21st of March, which is basically this Sunday, first we want to invite everyone. We are having it on the F.C.D. Facebook page, and also on the Facebook page and on the TV stations, of course, in Channel 5, Channel 7, Love FM, and CREM at this point. So in reality, all Belizeans can be able to see the program. Is going to be starting from 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That's on Sunday. And hopefully it will go for no more than 2.5 hours. We are still looking probably at 2 hours, but the idea is really to start off at 2 o'clock. The purpose of this particular symposium is really to return back and give a summarized version upon where we are after 7 years. Mindful that the first one was in 2013. So we will have the first set of panelists that will be talking about the issues, the threats, the challenges that are being faced in the Chiquibul today. So of course, Derek and Major Pop and Dr. El McKay will be able to explain more about the challenges that are being faced, today in the Chiquibul. So that will really put us in terms of also understanding, some of the main environmental goods and services, and the importance on why we need really to maintain it and to continue on the restoration of the Chiquibul forest. If you notice, the title there is Restoring, which is restoration. In other words, we need to bring it back to unlearn. It's rather difficult, but at least, nature is resilient. And so we can demonstrate that in reality, with the interventions, then the Chiquibul is returning back. It is being restored, although there are also other ongoing trends. And of course, there are also other ones evolving.
Yeah.
And then we also have a set of recommendations. There are recommendations upon what anyone can do, and also recommendations upon what we would wish the government to do. So that will be really the platform that we want really to undertake in terms of this Chiquibul Symposium number 2.
And I'm interested to talk a little bit more about the restoration side of things. And you did note earlier on in our conversation that you saw even recovery from a lot of the intense fires that we had last year. So can you go in a little bit more perhaps detail about about what we're seeing in terms of the actual regrowth restoration of the forest? Because I think a lot of people would be interested to hear about that.
Yes, certainly, although we don't really want to give all the answers right now,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
people can
You give us a tease.
A tease, yeah.
Yes. So I think that one of the main components that have been occurring in the Chiquibul is that the expansion of the human footprint. By the time we entered in 2007 in the Chiquibul, there were an estimated 1,500 Guatemalans operating illegally within the Chiquibul forest. The tracks and trails that were occurring within and under the forest, there were accounts of up to 50 kilometers extensions of trails that were opened in the Chiquibul that would lead a chatero as far as the area that they refer to as the volcanoes of Belize. The volcanoes, of course, we don't have volcanoes in Belize, but they were referring to the coxcomb, to those high peaks. So the chateros were reaching way up into those areas. So with the absence now of the chateros in the Chiquibul, although there's a handful of them, but it is not the 1,500 or so. So that by itself, that denominator is what really has been really a key component for the restoration of the Chiquibul. In other words, the human footprint expansion has been pushed back now to the limits now towards more closer to Guatemala and more so to the adjacency zone, adjacency line.
Yeah.
And so the issue here of the human footprint is now a critical element. Yeah. That means now that the reduction of forest fires, that means the reduction of hunting, poaching, the reduction of agricultural farming, etc. And so that is what we can see now, the restoration. As how I mentioned before, the forest and nature is resilient. If an area is still viable, if an area is still relatively stable, it can return back. And the wild animals return back, the forest returns back. And so that is what we have been seeing over the more recent years in the Chiquibul. Now, that does not really mean that we still don't have challenges, but the human footprinting is much more reduced than before.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And with that, we are just about out of time for this segment. So, Raphael and Derek, I want to say thank you for coming in and telling us all about the Chiquibul as well as the upcoming symposium, which once again is on the 21st of March.
This Sunday.
Yep.
Yeah. This Sunday at 2 o'clock.
And Marlene is going to be our moderator. So,
yep.
So thanks so much, Marlene.
That's right. Yeah, of course, always happy to help. And I think that it's a great opportunity for us to get an update as to what's happening there. And as we see those images of the beauty that we have, we know we have to protect it. Gentlemen, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And of course, stay safe, and we'll see you on Sunday.
Certainly. Thanks so much. See you all.
And when we come back, we're going to be keeping in the same theme with the conversation. We are continuing our full week of talking about the importance of forestry in Belize. Today's conversation, we're going to be talking about how wildlife can be affected by some of the threats to the forests. So we'll be joined by representatives of the Belize Bird Rescue and Wild Tracks in our next segment.